never thought a job application could change my life. Hell, I never thought a smile could undo me, strip me bare in ways no heartbreak ever had. But the moment he walked into that cafe on the corner of 7th and Maple, carrying nothing but a crumpled resume and a nervous half-grin, I felt my world tilt. It's funny, isn't it? You can go through years of your life on autopilot, wiping down tables, filling cups, pretending you're fine, only for one stranger to step through the door and remind you how lonely you've been. His name was Evan. I remember because he whispered it like he was afraid I'd laugh. The kid had dark hair that fell into his eyes, a quiet way of standing that screamed humility, and this awkward, breathtaking hope in his voice when he asked, "Are you hiring?" I almost said no. We had enough staff, too many if you asked the owner. But there was something in the way his hands trembled when he handed me the resume, something in the way he tried to hide it with that soft smile, that made me want to take him in. Like maybe the cafe wasn't what he needed, it was a lifeline. So I hired him. At first, I told myself it was just practicality. He was hardworking, polite, learned fast. The customers adored him, especially the older ladies who tipped extra just to see him blush when they called him handsome. But it wasn't his charm that got to me. It was the way he looked at the world, as if he hadn't been allowed to hope for too long. And now every cup of coffee, every laugh, every kindness was a miracle. And maybe it was selfish, but I wanted to be part of those miracles. Still, I kept my distance. I was 28, too old, too scarred, too used to pushing people away. Love wasn't something I believed in anymore. Not after Daniel. Not after the breakup that left me hollow enough to pour every ounce of myself into running a cafe that wasn't even mine. But Evan, he slipped past my defenses. Slowly, quietly, like steam curling from a mug on a winter morning. I remember one night we were closing late, just the two of us. The city outside was asleep, rain tapping gently on the glass. He was mopping the floor, humming under his breath, when he suddenly looked up at me and said, "You're always here. Don't you ever go home?" I laughed, maybe sharper than I should have. "This is home." His eyes softened in a way that made my chest ache. "That sounds lonely." I wanted to tell him he had no idea. But then he smiled at me, this quiet, understanding smile, and I realized maybe he did. The thing is, when you've built walls around your heart, you don't expect anyone to climb them. And if they try, you push them away before they reach the top. But Evan, he didn't climb. He just stood there at the bottom, waiting, patient, steady, like he had all the time in the world. And damn it, I started to want to let him in. One evening, weeks later, I found him sitting outside the cafe after his shift. He was hugging his knees, staring at the ground like it might swallow him. I almost walked past, told myself it wasn't my business. But then I saw the glint of tears he was trying to hide. "Evan," I said gently, sliding onto the step beside him. "Talk to me." For a long time he didn't. Just sat there, silent, the weight of something unspoken pressing down on him. Then finally his voice cracked. "My dad kicked me out." The words hung between us, heavy and merciless. He didn't look at me when he said it, just dug his fingers into his jeans like he was holding himself together by threads. I didn't know what to say. Anger burned in my gut, the kind of anger that makes you want to break something. How could a father do that? How could anyone throw away someone so kind, so good? So I did the only thing I could. I reached over, placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "You're not alone. Not anymore." That night, I let him crash on my couch, and the night after, and the one after that, until his toothbrush sat next to mine and his laughter filled the cracks in my silence. Of course, it wasn't that simple. There were moments when he pulled away, afraid of being a burden. Moments when I questioned myself, wondered if I was crossing a line, if maybe I wanted too much. But then he'd smile at me over the rim of his coffee mug, soft and unguarded, and I'd forget every reason I had to stay cautious. I was falling. And the scariest part wasn't that I couldn't stop, it was that, for the first time in years, I didn't want to. He moved through my life the way sunlight moves through a dusty window, quietly, naturally, making everything look brighter without trying. But brightness always comes with shadows, and I should have known the world wouldn't let us keep that fragile peace for long. It started with whispers. Customer here, a neighbor there. People noticing that Evan left work with me, that his laugh carried down the hall of my apartment building late at night. In a small town like ours, rumors travel faster than truth. One morning, the owner of the cafe pulled me aside. "You're getting too close," she warned, her voice sharp but not unkind. "This place runs on reputation. Don't risk it." I wanted to tell her she was wrong, that what I felt wasn't a risk but a salvation. But I stayed quiet, because fear is a coward's language, and I'd spoken it fluently for years. When I walked out of her office, I found Evan wiping down tables, humming like always, but the light in his eyes flickered when he saw my face. "Something's wrong," he said softly. I should have lied, should have told him it was nothing. But instead I muttered, "They think I'm too close to you." His hands stilled on the cloth. "Do you?" The question pierced me deeper than it should have. "I don't know what I'm supposed to feel," I admitted. "I just know I can't stop." For the first time since I'd met him, Evan didn't smile. He just looked at me, raw and searching, before whispering, "Then don't." That night we kissed. It wasn't planned. It wasn't graceful. It was desperate, two souls colliding after circling each other for far too long. His lips tasted of coffee and rain, his hands clutching at me like I was the only thing keeping him steady. And God help me, I let him. But love, as I'd learned, doesn't erase pain. If anything, it sharpens it. Because when you finally have something worth losing, every shadow feels like a threat. 2 weeks later, Evan's father showed up at the cafe. A tall man with a face carved from stone and words sharper than broken glass. He didn't care about the customers, didn't care about the scene he was making. He just wanted his son back under his thumb gone entirely. "You've ruined him," he spat at me, his voice loud enough to silence the room. He was supposed to be normal. I opened my mouth, but Evan stepped forward first. His hands trembled, but his voice didn't. "I am normal," he said. "I'm me. And for once, I'm happy." The silence that followed was deafening. His father left, fury etched in every step, and I knew we'd crossed a line we couldn't uncross. That night, Evan broke down. Not because he regretted standing up, but because it hurt to finally accept the love he would never get. I held him through the tears, through the shaking, whispering over and over, "You are enough. You are enough." And somewhere in the middle of that storm, I realized, so was I. The cafe lost a few customers after that day, but we kept going. We leaned on each other, built a life out of second-hand furniture and late-night laughter, of morning coffee shared in silence that wasn't lonely anymore. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. 1 year later, on a crisp autumn evening, Evan stood behind the counter, apron dusted with flour, cheeks flushed from rushing orders. He caught me staring and smirked. "What?" "Nothing," I said, smiling like a fool. "Just can't remember the days without this. Without you," I wanted to add. He walked over, slipping his hand into mine, careless of who was watching. "Good," he whispered, "because I'm not going anywhere." And for the first time in my life, I believed it. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive with fireworks or grand gestures. Sometimes it walks into your cafe on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, carrying nothing but a crumpled resume and a smile that will haunt you until it heals you. And if you're lucky, if you're brave enough to stop, you'll realize that's more than enough. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.